r/ask Reddit. What is something that is fake but people believe that it's real? That the Great Wall of China is the only man-made object visible from space. The Great Wall of China cannot be seen from space. It drives me nuts that so many people believe this and that there are books that publish this myth. Although it is the largest man-made structure, it is very narrow. If it was visible from space, then every highway would also be visible. In 2005, a Chinese astronaut went to space and agreed that the wall is not visible from space to the naked eye. You can see space from the Great Wall of China is my go-to fact about the Great Wall, lol. New fun Great Wall fact for you to use. The cementing material used for many parts of the wall only uses glutinous rice starch as the adhesive component. New not so fun Great Wall fact. The bodies of slaves who died constructing the wall were buried under and around the foundations. My ethnic group is very special because we are very hospitable. Nowhere else in the world will you find any people so hospitable as ours. It's because we value respecting others. That is one of our unique traits as people of my ethnic group. This is an interesting one, haha. I come from enter any country of origin. Family. We love food and family is very important to us. What? I'm from Poland. We do not care about our family and food is not important to us. Alcohol on another hand. Reality TV. Some of it is actually frighteningly real. Shows like Survivor and Hell's Kitchen have professional psychologists who screen contestants for volatile personality traits. Basically, they're looking for people who are likely to break down in a high-stress environment and or start a lot of petty arguments. Some shows are scripted, some aren't. All of them use editing to make things look more dramatic than they actually are. So yeah, a lot of tricks and fakery, but the stuff that is actually real is kind of horrific. Like mentally manipulating contestants horrific. Does anyone actually think that's real? People from Columbus's time did not think the earth was flat. Yep, and those other sailors that laughed at him were pointing out he'd run out of supplies trying to get to where he thought he was going. Which was absolutely correct. If the Americas were not there, no way he would have made it to Asia. Though the earth was much smaller than it was, even though the size of the earth was already known. We only use 10% of our brain. If you still believe this, then you actually only use 10% of your brain. You mean, people who believe we only use 10% of our brain are the proof that there are people who use 10% of their brain? Good thing that I subscribed to cloud braining. Some of the Insta influencer photos. Some? Do you want me to replace it with most? Karma. Some people can live their entire lives being human garbage and never have to suffer for it. Other people can live their entire lives being truly decent human beings and do nothing but suffer. Life isn't fair. So it's incredibly insulting for people to say things like it's okay. Karma will get that person in the end. For years I honestly thought that everyone knew karma and luck are just names for happenstance. A friend told me he didn't believe in luck a few years ago. Eventually we got to the point I asked, wait, do you think it's a deity or something? Turns out he thought anyone who mentioned luck was basically going on about their religious beliefs. Do you think it's a deity or something? Lady Luck, hallowed be thy name. Naturopathic doctors are not real doctors. Stay far away from these people. There is a reason why they send you to an actual physician in order to get a diagnostic lab referral. Just remember that ND stands for not a doctor. Plastic recycling. I thought my whole life that as long as you recycled plastic it would be reused. And I thought that recycling was saving the environment. But most plastic isn't recyclable. So we're eventually just putting it into landfills. Even the biodegradable plastics like PLA aren't actually biodegradable except in very specific circumstances. I found this out after I started doing some 3D printing with a 3D pen. And now it's really bothering me. Paper recycling harms the planet through the energy consumption and chemicals used to bleach the paper white. We literally grow trees for paper, though, on tree farms. No one's cutting the rainforest down for toilet paper. They're doing it for things like grazing land for cattle and palm oil. This needs to be higher up because so many people don't realize it. John Olive did a great piece on plastics and recycling. We value your privacy. Your privacy is very valuable, so we're selling it. Astrology. I don't know. Cancer is real. Same for crabs, the gift that keeps on giving. Dong enlarging pills. I get that people are desperate and horny, but seriously, if that shit worked at all, Big Pharma would have taken that shit over long ago. Abstaining from sex leads to better performance in sports like boxing. It's been debunked multiple times, but dumbasses still do it and vouch for it. There's actually a much better reason why boxers don't have sex before a bout. They don't like each other that much. I don't know. A lot of boxing promotional photos look like gay wedding photos. Supposedly. The thing about words is if enough people use them the same way, they exist. This drives me insane. I can't stand it when slang becomes proper English, but I also know that's just how language and communication works. Duck it, I guess. Homeopathy being effective, beyond the placebo effect, of course. Also psychics, palmistry, astral projection, auras, magical thinking. The list could go on. I read psychics as physics, and I think that's the most confused I've ever been in my life. I genuinely could not figure out why physics did not exist. Then I remembered they do, and that I'm an idiot. And those shitheads who believe they can get the nutrition they need from sunlight. I only eat normal food when I want to. How often is that? That's an absurd question and irrelevant. How dare you question my belief? Edit. Turns out Dre had nothing to do with this at all. Sugar rush. Yeah. Sugar is energy, but unless your kid is diabetic, they are able to control their blood sugar content. It's called insulin. Sugar doesn't make kids hyperactive. Don't believe me? Look at a basic lunch. PB plus J sandwich and a glass of orange juice. There are 17 sugar cubes in this meal, but it doesn't cause hyperactivity. It's an example of nocebo. Children are told they become hyperactive when they have sweets, so they act hyperactive. If you stop propagating this myth, your children will stop being hyperactive when they eat candy. Tell them it's unhealthy when you deny them sweets. Don't parrot bullshit that they won't be able to sleep if you give them chocolate ice cream for dessert. It's probably also because they're just excited. They're happy they got sweets. When do kids tend to have lots of sugar? At special events, parties and celebrations. They're not hyperactive because they ate sugar. They're hyperactive because they're at an event and are happy they just got sweets. The mass panic over War of the Worlds never happened. The papers ran it to show radio was untrustworthy to promote themselves, and Wells ran with it because it was great PR. Searched this thread to learn something new and found one I'll have to research. Thanks. NFTs. Hey, my ludicrously overpriced pixeled monkey JPEG will be worth millions when I earn enough money to buy it off myself to falsely inflate the value. Just gotta hope the link doesn't change, or I'll just own a very expensive 404 error on the blockchain. The entire book The Secret, willing things into existence like money does not happen. The first time I heard about this book was around 10 years ago when I volunteered to help on a small local theater production as was trying to boost my CV. There was this woman who has managed to get the space, money and actors to put on a production of a play called Dark Nativity. The writer of the play was also involved. In my opinion, I thought the play was awful, but I kept that to myself. Also, I'm not religious, so my opinion was biased. However, the creators were convinced it was going to be a huge hit, were even talking about how it was probably going to tour after. One time I asked if they had bookings at other theaters. They said no, but knew it was going to happen because of this book they were reading called The Secret. The woman then told me she knew it would be a sellout play because of her following the book's teachings night after night, and she would picture a theater full of people cheering for the play. Apparently it was this confidence that got her the funding. So maybe there is some truth to it. Anyway, opening night comes and we have about 40-ish people. She was devastated and said this is not how the book said it would turn out. The numbers dwindled night after night, and then she just disappeared before the run of the show even ended. Someone told me she thought the ticket sales would cover the money she took out to put on the show. TLDR. Someone put on a play and thought it'd be a success because used a secret book. Apparently it was this confidence that got her the funding. So maybe there is some truth to it. I think this is no small thing. Actually, if the book helps people with positive visualization which leads to confidence and positive action, then it's not a bad thing. I think even the subtle shift from wishing you had something or wishing for some sort of self-improvement versus starting to internalize that I already have it can actually be helpful as well. Trickle-down economics would work if there was a cap on how much wealth one person could have. In order for something to trickle down, it first needs to be able to overflow. That humans can make emotion-free decisions. Edit. This is based on neuroscientific research. Antonio Damasio. That showed people who had brain damage that prevented them from feeling emotions were incapable of making decisions. The idea is that no matter how logical you think a decision is, emotions play a role. My understanding is that emotion is the thing that stops the logic loop. Without it, you just keep listing options without being able to assign value to them. Kim Kardashian's butt. Don't know a single person who thinks it's real. Bigfoot. By now, they'd have found something besides unusably blurry video. I remember watching Bigfoot Hunters and thinking I know they'd never find anything because if they did it would have been all over the news way before this show aired. OMG man. I said those exact words about finding Bigfoot to a guy I worked with, and he just refused to believe me. I then said it was stupid to have a season 2. They should have found Bigfoot in season 1 or not aired it. He hated me. Some animal facts. Lemmings throwing themselves off cliffs because of overpopulation. Alpha wolves and the whole wolf pack memes analogies that go around. How some animals are monogamous and therefore should be used as evidence that monogamous relationships are the norm, etc. Yeah, the lemmings one is BS. The guy who was reporting on it would have his crew throw some off of a cliff so he could record it. That vaccines cause autism. Obviously, with less children dying from things like polio and smallpox, more of us survive. Thus autism remains. Unless the anti-vaxxers would prefer dead children. Let my people and I live. Everything related to astrology. Steven Seagal's martial arts abilities. The last time he was able to lift a leg to someone's face, it was a chicken leg to his own. The opinion spouted from talking heads on opinion shows masquerading as news. 70% of the content my parents watch on Facebook. It's not even politics most of the time. You can repost literal movie scenes from horror movies and act like it's super spooky real footage and half of these boomers will believe it's real. I had an aunt believe with all of her heart that goblins and magic were real because she saw video on Facebook. The government's concern and care for the citizens. Finland was clearly created by the Swedes as a propaganda tool to establish how powerful they are, and then the Soviets swooped in and said, hey, Finland is ours now, and then Sweden declared that they will be neutral over the embarrassment. But then during World War II the US said that Finland beat the Soviets in the Winter War, which then caused a down spiral ending in the fall of the Soviet Union. Proof? Can you even understand Finnish? It's just gibberish. Or have you ever been to Finland or Rovaniemi where Santa Claus supposedly lives? Well, let me tell you that Santa Claus isn't real. Instagram. That there are hot MILFs in your area. Our governments and politicians working for our good. That the customer is always right. Just stop. Political representation. Flat Earth. Even people from a few hundred years ago know more common knowledge than you, and they are dead. Birds. Psychoanalysis. While Freud's research is open to what is, today, psychology and psychiatry, his conclusions were mostly untrue. Edit 1. Spelling edit 2. I indeed know that Freud isn't the only psychoanalyst. In fact, there is plenty of them. But there is one thing that they all have in common. Science proved them wrong in most cases. That there's always two opposite and equally credible views. Some things are just wrong and that's it. Monster under your bed. He real. You just haven't seen him cause you don't leave her arms and legs hanging off. Astrology. Chiropractors, it is just bullshit. I don't have a problem cause you can't get addicted to weed. Bielefeld. Food commercials. Most of the time, they put props to replace the actual thing. Shaving cream instead of whipped cream on a milkshake. Because the actual thing would melt does not look appealing. Rambo knives. It's a movie prop. Rambo knife was specifically made for the first Rambo movie, The First Blood. It was loosely based on US Air Force Aircrew Survival Egress Knife https://en Wikipedia org wiki Aircrew Survival Egress Knife and Randall Model 18 Survival Knife. But those knives were not big enough for the movie, so they just had a knife smith make a completely new knife. They showed him the Air Force knife and Randall knife, and said something like this, but way bigger, like twice as big. And the smith did the job because he was being paid for it. He took the Air Force design but made the serrated edge on the back of the blade ridiculously big. The original is much smaller, as it is intended to be used to cut your way out of a fiberglass hull of a downed aircraft. If a heli or plane falls down, it is often that the fuselage bends and door won't open, so you have to cut your way out. The Rambo knife's absurdly large shark-toothed backsaw blade is pretty much unusable for that task as it gets stuck in the fiberglass, and it's even lousy as a wood saw. The blade is fixed on a handle with one single bolt, or in worse cases, just welded into the handle. This kind of construction will not hold if any strong pressure is put on the blade, and the blade will just snap out of the handle. It is just plain better to take the survival pack, with fish hooks and matches and compasses and whatnot, and just have it in a separate container in your pocket, than to have a hollow handle. Just have a full tang blade that goes all the way through the handle. Sure, Rambo knives are badass. They are dope looking things. That's what it was designed as. To look good on a movie. If you want one, go ahead and buy it. But understand that you are buying a movie prop. It was specifically made to look good on a silver screen, not to function as a real tool. It is not a real proper survival knife. It just can't handle the tasks required in survival situation. And people who know this will steer away from people who carry Rambo knives. Carrying one shows that you are a mall ninja who knows nothing about survival. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.